Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
First stage is to fold this on the wrong side, and then I fold this over. When I fold over, just like we do with our tops, when we're cutting a top that's going to have a zipper, we leave some allowance at the back between 1 to 2 inches. I normally leave around 1.5, so I'm going to just leave this much allowance at the back. As always, you want to make sure that what you have here is okay for your bust. For this bust, I'm using the bust measurement of 27. And when we divide that by 4, that gives us 6.65. So I'm looking at 7.5 with an allowance. Right here, I have 10. I have more than enough. So this is good enough for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure out the upper part of the peplum top. So I'm going to measure that out, and I'm going to be using the half-length measurement that I have. So what I have is 13.5, but because for the peplum we're going to join at the top and we're going to join it at the bottom when we join it to the circular part of the top. So I'm going to leave half an inch at the bottom, half an inch at the top. So altogether I'm looking to cut off 14.5 from this fabric. Connect your dots and just cut that part out. And now we just start with our shoulder. The shoulder we're using is 14. Now when you measure your shoulder, you start from where you have your center. This is where the zipper goes, so this is our center line. So this is going to be the center front, and this is going to be a center back. Just want to draw some line here to help us identify it when we start to sew. Alternatively, you can just fold it in as well. You can fold this part in as well and hold that zipper area with a pin. That's another way you can do this. That's another way to do that. And then we're just going to start measuring from this center towards the side of the armhole area. So we're going to do the shoulder, which is 14. You divide that by 2, we're going to have 7. And then you had your seam allowance. And I'm going to do 7 for the armhole area here. So this helps me to know where I'll start to measure for my bust. So the bust I'm using is a bust measurement of 27. So again, that's 6.5. I'm adding 1 inch. That'll give me 7.5 right there. So as you can see, it's almost about the same. This for a little kid. And then the waist, our waist is 24. When you divide that by 4, you're going to have 6. And then remember that we normally would put, you would need to put a dart over here where you start to sew it. So that's 1 inch of that. So that gives us 7. And then you also leave 1 inch for your seam allowance. Altogether 8. Again, we have a waist measurement of 24. When you divide that by 4, that will give you 6. You had 1 inch for the dart and 1 inch for the allowance. Altogether, we're looking at a measurement of 8 inches. So this is what we connect up here. And I'm going to cut this. And we're just going to snip that part where we are going to use for her that. So over here I'm going to do 3.5. Again, it's for a little girl, so I'm not gonna do 4.5 like I do for adults. And then I'm going to do the neckline. I'm gonna do a neckline of 3 by 3. I'll just connect that. Join that together, and I'm gonna make the same neckline for the front and the back. And that completes the cutting of the first part of the top. So now we're going to work on the peplum side. The total length of the blouse is 18 inches, and we already cut off 13.5 inches over here. So we're going to be needing to do 4.5 more inches. So our peplum is going to be 4.5 inches. And depending on how much fabric you have, you can do a full circle. If you don't have enough, then you may have to do 2 semi-circles. Now to cut the lower part of the top, that's the circular portion of it. What I'm going to do is I need to find a radius. So to do that, you take your waist measurement, you add whatever allowances you want to add to that for the zipper, and then you divide by 6.28. Whatever you get is going to be your radius, and the way we're going to fold it is in such a way that we're going to have a continuous circle. So we'll just slit one end of that circle to make room for our zipper. So in this case, I'm going to be using a radius that I calculated to be 4.62. Now, as I fold this, I want to measure to make sure that what I have is enough. Okay, so that my 4.62. I'm going to approximate it to 4.75 just to make it easy to find on my tape measure. And whatever is excess, I can always clip that off around the zipper allowance area. So what I'm going to be doing now is we're folding. I first folded this way and I folded again this way, what I will call a vertical and then an horizontal fold. I'm folding in 2 different ways, but as I fold, I want to make sure that what I have, because when I start to measure, I'm going to first measure my radius, and then wherever my radius gets to, I then need to measure the length of my peplum. Okay, so all together over here and over here, I want to make sure I have enough for what my radius is plus the length of the peplum. Now my peplum here is going to be my blouse length, which is 18, minus the half length, which I already cut out of this top part of the skirt of the top. So this is going to be, this is 13.5. So 18 less 13.5 is 4.5. So I have 4.5 right there. And then I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches for the joining allowance. I need to do my 4.75 plus my plus 6, because I need 4.5 for my peplum plus 1.5, that is 6 inches. So I'm looking at a total of around 10.75. So I want to make sure this is going to be enough. So I'm expecting to have 10.75, which I do. And then over here, just enough. So I'm going to fold this in a little more because I have a little too much over there. So I folded this in. So this is okay. and this is okay. So now we start to cut. So you want to first start with the radius, which is the 4.75, and you want to start from the tip right here, from the corner where you fold, where your fold meets. So you want to start your measurement from there, and again I'm doing the 4.75, and you just want to measure that all across, and you just connect those lines that you have marked. So that's the first part of it. That's for your radius. The next thing is either you go from that line and you measure your 6 inches for the peplum, or you just start from the top, which sometimes is usually more accurate. So we just want to go from the top and do the 10.75 all across, just the same way we did it from this corner. That's what we're just going to be doing. Just measure this 10.75 all across, and then you connect the dots again, and now you can cut this out. So this is what you have for the peplum, and like I said, it's a continuous circle like that. So we're just going to open one end of it, which is going to serve as where we put our zipper. You can cut it anywhere. So I'm gonna cut one more in the other fabric that I'll be using for the skirt. So we'll have a shorter one. We'll put it on the top and we'll have it 2.5 inches shorter than this cotton fabric. You just fold it the same way you folded when you were cutting the first fabric, and now we're using this first fabric as a template for this. So I'm just gonna mark out the radius area right here, and then we want to do, we're using 2.5, we're making it 2.5 shorter, so we're going to be using 3.5 for the length. So you're going to be a very short one. That's going to be right on top of the first one. So I just cut the shorter part of the peplum, just like I explained. I just did exactly the same thing I did when I was cutting this. The only difference is that this is 2.5 inches shorter. So for the sleeves, we're going to use this fabric for the sleeve. This is 10 inches. We're going to use the whole of this. And over here, I forgot to mention that over here you should put your shoulder slant. Like you would have noticed in most of tutorials, there's always a shoulder slant that you do over here. You can do between 0.5 inch to 1 inch. And so you just measure what you have here for your sleeve, for your armhole, which is 7.5, and you want to make sure you have enough over here. We do have enough, and then you're going to take whatever you've decided your sleeve round to be. I'm going to make mine 12. I have more detailed videos on how to do a sleeve, so this is kind of the rush version. But if you watch my other videos, you will see more detailed instructions on how to do your sleeves. So this is the sleeve, and I'll just take part of this fabric because I'm going to use it to turn the sleeve over. We know this is 12, so I'm just going to get part of this fabric. So I'm going to do 3 by 12. And now when you do this, depending on the kind of fabric you're using, you may want to make sure you have your pattern laying the way that you prefer. So always be sure to check that to make sure the pattern is the way you want it to be. So that completes the cutting. I hope you found this helpful. If so, please remember to leave us a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, we'll appreciate your subscription. Please do so. Click the subscribe button below and subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much. Hope to see you. Join us on social media. Thank you. God bless.